off Route 33 in Bumpus.
Doing all right?
Doing good, how you doing?
There are few places with as much foot traffic as McQueen's Grocery.
381.
Owner Jagdeep Singh knows a lot of faces, but it's the one he couldn't see that still haunts him.
And when I saw him, he had a gun on me in seconds.
Shortly before Christmas 2013, a masked gunman entered his store and rushed at him behind this counter.
You think you may be gonna die. And he started the countdown. He said 5, 4, 3. He was going to shoot, I think.
Police say that robber was Daniel Mathis, a man who is now charged in connection with a murder that sent shockwaves throughout central Virginia.
With breaking news from Louisa County. A body believed to be that of Kevin Quick was found yesterday in Goochland.
The body of Waynesboro Police Reserve Captain Kevin Quick was found in this wooded area of Goochland County on February 6th.
But multiple police sources telling us
investigators believe the 45-year-old was abducted and murdered a week earlier by Mathis and other members of the 99 Goon Syndicate, a gang that federal agents say is affiliated with the infamous Blood Street Gang. The indictment says the gang is responsible for a violent crime spree that began 2 years ago. All of the crimes charged under a federal statute called RICO.
RICO has frequently been used to go after gangs, whether huge gangs or small gangs.
Attorney David Smith has spent most of his career involved in federal RICO cases, both as a prosecutor and defense attorney. He even co-authored a book about it.
It's an acronym for Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations.
Passed by Congress in 1970, RICO was created to help fight one of the most notorious criminal organizations in U.S. history, the Mafia.
To basically remove the mob's influence from legitimate businesses, which of course would have unfair competitive advantages, such as bumping off your competition or threatening them.
But Smith says RICO has drastically evolved since then. The mob is no longer the only target. Many criminal RICO cases now go after street gangs, and prosecutors in the Western District of Virginia say the 99 Goon Syndicate fits that bill.
They allege a huge amount of different types of criminality.
In legal circles, part of the controversy around RICO is how much power it gives the government. That's because RICO alleges a pattern of criminal behavior, meaning it's not just one person accused of one crime. Smith says that can greatly influence juries.
When you get the big picture, it tends to greatly favor the government.
Only 4 of the 9 suspects listed in the Quick indictment are accused of being directly involved with his kidnapping and murder. Many of the gang's other alleged crimes, like robbery and assault, would be considered minor by comparison, easily handled at the local level. Smith says it was Quick's murder that likely got the federal prosecutors involved.
You know, the attitude must have been, let's get serious with this gang and throw, the heavy weapons at them.
Thank you.
Back in McQueen's, Jagdeep Singh often thinks about Kevin Quick.
I feel so bad for him.
After his own run-in with one of the accused killers, he feels fortunate that night only cost him his money.
It was my good luck I survived.
It was freezing.
It was cold.
Craig Turner and Suzanne Gwathmey still laugh when they recall the day Craig proposed, New Year's Eve 2003.
I opened the door up and she said, "What are you doing?" And then I asked her to marry me.
They exchange vows 10 months later in Byrd Park, promising to stay together until death do they part.
You never know.
A moment they hope is far off in the future, but one they've carefully planned for.
And I just knew as a planner and an organizer that we needed to get that done. Okay.
Suzanne is talking about their advanced medical directives or living wills.
It is my intention that this advanced directive shall be honored by my family and physician.
It's the document they keep in this binder that spells out in writing their final wishes if they're incapacitated or declared brain dead. A process Suzanne says made them tear up as they discussed it in their lawyer's office.
Because the reality is death. One of us may not be here for the other.
And they were reminded of how suddenly it can happen as they read and watched reports about Marlise Munoz, the pregnant Texas woman who was declared brain dead but kept on life support to protect her fetus. Munoz was 14 weeks pregnant when she was found unconscious in her home November 26. Although she did not have a written advance directive, Munoz's husband said she had been clear. She did not want to be kept on any type of life support device like a ventilator. But John Peter Smith Hospital in Fort Worth refused to take her off machines, citing a Texas law requiring it to continue treating a pregnant patient even after they've been declared clinically dead. Right now, 12 states have laws that automatically invalidate a pregnant woman's advanced medical directive. Virginia is not one of them. Healthcare attorney Nathan Kotkamp says that's why it's unlikely Virginia would have a case similar to Marlise Munoz.
We do not have an exception in our Healthcare Decisions Act for pregnant patients.
But Kotkamp says that's not the case for someone with a mental illness. In the 2009 General Assembly session, Kotkamp says lawmakers expanded state law to allow patients to put down their wishes for mental health care, a psychiatric advance directive. However, there are limits to what they can request.
So you can't have a written advance directive that says, I never want to be admitted to a mental health hospital no matter what kind of crisis I'm in. Now, we can't allow that from a public policy perspective.
Richmond attorney Melanie Lee specializes in estate planning, which includes writing an advance directive. She says less than 20% of people in the country have one.
Having that conversation about what really matters to you, I think, is even more important. So this was like in the late 60s.
Lee had that conversation with her mother before she died.
So she did have a directive in place.
Her mother, Barbara, was declared brain dead in 2013 and was not put on life support because she put those instructions in writing.
My mother was very, very clear about her wishes. Mm-hmm. She would say, I don't want to lay there being a vegetable.
Yeah. She told us that when we first met her.
Lee helped Craig and Suzanne write their living wills. The couple says, like Lee's mother, they want their relatives to know when that time comes, they can let go.
If the hospital says it's time to let go and the cardiologist says, I agree, and the family doctor says, I agree, then that will be it.
I just can't think of myself as being tough.
Jack Burke wants to know where the time has gone. How can 7 decades slip by so fast?
This is a picture.
Over time, some memories may fade.
That's when I came home.
But one moment will forever remain razor sharp.
I was in the 5th Rangers, A Company.
On June 6, 1944, the then 21-year-old found himself wading through a sheet of murderous steel.
The Germans wouldn't fire until they dropped the ramp, and then he shot them as they came off.
Jack stormed ashore at Omaha Beach in France on D-Day.
This machine gun just hit the water right in front of me, and that was the first inclination that somebody was after old Jack Burke.
He and his fellow Rangers pushed ahead. Their ultimate goal, liberate Europe from the Nazis.
We had a high casualty rate, but everybody hung together and we accomplished every mission we went after.
The soldiers' accomplishments didn't come without paying a heavy price.
I lost a lot of guys who were wounded and a lot of guys who were killed.
A few months after D-Day, Jack received terrible news. His brother Tom would be killed in the Battle of the Bulge.
I walked down, and about 3 graves down from my brother was Charlie Portell, A Company 5th Rangers, one of my buddies. I cried like a baby.
Can you believe it's been 70 years?
No, I can't.
All these years later, Jack appreciates the handshakes and thank yous offered by strangers, but he's a little uncomfortable with the label of hero.
There's so many guys that were there that deserve credit that will never get it because they're buried.
With the anniversary of D-Day upon us, Jack is counting his blessings that he was able to live through one of the most difficult days in U.S. history.
I proved to myself, not only on D-Day, but through the war, that I held myself together mentally and physically, and I did what I was supposed to do. So I'm proud of that.